Good morning. And welcome to the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship. That good morning was like a little quiet, actually. Is everyone feeling very sleepy this morning? Good morning. Good morning. That's more like it. Welcome to the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe that we need not think alike to love alike, as we strive to build a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Today, we will break bread together, and we will also have the annual meeting at noon, where we will review church business and, most importantly, vote on important issues. It is one of the ways in which we live out our 7 principles, which include reverence for the democratic process. I am the interim minister here, the Reverend Micah C. Ma, and my pronouns are they, them, and theirs. With me today are worship associate Marilyn Cullison, choir director Tom Cullison, and accompanist Megan Smith. Shout out to Dan and Barb on tech, and we always give a special welcome to those joining us on Zoom today. With cameras back there, give them a wave. Hello, Zoom. Now, do we have any visitors in the sanctuary today who would like to introduce themselves? Okay, we have any other visitors in the sanctuary today? All right, would you like to introduce yourselves? Keep your hand up if that's the case. If you did not come prepared to do public speaking, that's also fine. But do wait for the microphone because they can't hear you on Zoom if you don't use the microphone.
Good morning. I'm Shelley Harms, Pat's daughter.
Good morning. My name is Eric Bannon. I'm visiting I'm a member of the Community Church of Chapel Hill UU over in the Triangle, and I'm here with my family. They're all still sleeping. But I'm here for the week. It's a wonderful space you have here.
Thank you. Welcome to everyone who got up early to be here today. We're glad you're here. All right, and now Marilyn, who's also the chair of the worship committee, has some announcements for us.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay. We have 2 potlucks this month. One is on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. here at the church. And then we have a pop-up potluck, that's hard to say, at Rotary Park after the service on Sunday, June 25th. And if we have rain, we will have the potluck here. So just because it's raining doesn't mean we're not going to have a pop-up potluck. Bring your favorite picnic food to one of them or both of them. We're excited that we can have picnics again. The NAACP invites us to a Juneteenth small business market on Saturday the 17th at Carteret Community College from 11 to 3. There will be live music, local vendors, and food trucks, and hope to see you there. And then next Sunday, we are having a drag service, and we invite everyone to come dressed up. This doesn't mean that you have to dress in drag, but it should be something that makes you feel confident and powerful. And tonight, we are having a vigil for LGBTQ rights plus rights here at UCF at 6 p.m. This vigil will recognize not only the state of emergency that the Human Rights Campaign has declared for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people and their families, but also that this is part of a broader movement for justice. As the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And now we invite everyone in the sanctuary to please silence their cell phones And everybody on Zoom, please turn off your camera to conserve bandwidth. And we invite everyone to turn and greet your neighbor.
Today's opening words are number 416 in the Gray Hymnal by Robert French Levins. Holy and beautiful the custom which brings us together in the presence of the Most High, to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of ages, the cathedral music of history. 3 unseen guests attend: faith, hope, and love. Let all our hearts prepare them a place. And I invite Marilyn now to come and read our chalice lighting words as we light our chalice, the symbol of our shared faith.
Today's chalice lighting is number 452 in the Gray Hymnal, and it's by Marjorie Montgomery. Life is a gift for which we are grateful. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift.
And we light also a peace candle to remind ourselves that peace is a process that requires work, that peace is not merely an absence of conflict, but the presence of justice. I invite the congregation now to repeat after me, "Come, let us worship together." And now I invite everyone to please rise as you are willing and able for our opening hymn, number 188 in the gray hymnal, "Come, Come, Whoever You Are."
Good morning. We're kind of out of balance this morning. We're going to sing this as a round, so let's draw a line between Tom Wentworth and this side of the room. And no, Tom, you got to be on the right side, not the left today. So, and this side over here. So we'll sing this through once together, and then we'll start with Christoph's choir over here, and then we'll go to Nan's choir over here, okay? Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of living, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come, 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 whoever you are, come, come, whoever you are. One more time. Whoever you are, come, come, whoever you are. Come yet again.
And now, every week, we make some space and time to celebrate our joys and grieve our sorrows. This is part of what it means to be human. Things happen that are often beyond our control. Some of these things are glad things that we celebrate, like birthdays, job promotions, graduations. Other times, they are things to be grieved, like funerals, divorces, the loss of a pet. All of these things are part of life, and to share them with others is also human. In a moment, we're going to have some music, and I invite everyone then to, as they are able and willing, to line up against the far wall over here under the painting of the triptych. Come around to the front, where we have a basket of shells and stones and sea glass and coral waiting for you, and I invite you to take as many or as few represent whatever is on your heart, whatever it is that you wish to lift up, to release to the universe, and leave it in the beautiful glass chalice of water here. If you have a personal joy or concern that you would like me to read aloud to the congregation, there is also some papers here where you can write your joy or concern and leave in the basket. I have some joys and concerns of the community, and if you have any personal joys or concerns that you would wish to share, then you can also just leave a paper in the basket, and I will read it aloud. This stone marks the 7th anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando, Florida. On June 12, 2016, a gunman killed 49 people and wounded 53 more in a mass shooting at the Pulse nightclub. This is the deadliest incident to date in LGBT violence in the United States. And this stone is for the over 400 wildfires raging across Canada. Firefighters have responded from all over the world. We thank them for their courage and service and hope that everyone remains safe. May poor air quality be the worst that we have to suffer. And one more small bit of joy, close to home, let's pick a shell for this one, which is that the Down East Library is moving. The Down East branch of the public library that had been slated to close is moving to a new location and will reopen in July. I invite everyone now to please join me in a moment of prayer. To that great spirit of the universe, that which goes everywhere, like light, like water, like air, and which, like light and water and air, is a part of all of us. May it remind us that we are all connected to one another, just as light and air and water connects all of us. We are all connected to one another, and thus, in a sense, we never really leave this place because we leave behind the light and air and water that is a part of all of us. And so, as we live this life, as we grieve our sorrows, as we celebrate our triumphs, let us remember that we are light and air and water, and that from which we come, we will eventually return to. And so we must live this life to the fullest that we possibly can, be grateful for the things that come to us, grieve the things that leave us, celebrate the things that we need to celebrate, whether it is a library that we may or may not ever use, but that we know others in the community will use, whether it's wildfires hundreds or thousands of miles away. We are all one, light and air and water. Amen, and blessed be. I invite us all now into a moment of silent reflection and contemplation. This time is yours to use as you wish.
The Unitarian Coastal Fellowship is a beacon of hope, inclusivity, and diversity here in Carteret and surrounding counties. Building and maintaining this beacon requires your contributions of time, treasure, and talent. And we are humbled by this community that gives so much of all three. We hope you will be generous again today. I invite the greeters forward to collect today's offering. Please join in blessing this offering with hymn number 402, From You I Receive, and we'll sing it twice.
So what is communion? It's not something we do a lot of as Unitarian Universalists. The words communion and community both come from the Greek word koinonia. Koinonia refers to fellowship, partnership, joint participation, sharing. It's about being part of something bigger than yourself. Coming together to be something greater than the sum of your parts. It's about being an active participant in creating something, in creating a community, a fellowship. The early Christian gatherings were basically potlucks. I mean, back in the day, there weren't grand cathedrals with high ceilings and stained glass. People met at each other's homes. They brought simple dishes to share. And everyone shared them, regardless of whether or not they had brought anything themselves, regardless of whether or not this was their first time at a meeting or their 70th time at a meeting. And that was the origin of the communion ritual as many of us know it today, and that many of us here in this room may remember from their Catholic or Protestant upbringings. The breaking of bread and the sharing of wine was formalized into a ritual that was then later on conducted by priests, by people who were ordained into the ministry. This ritual that had once been conducted by people around a dinner table, where they just used to pass a loaf of bread from hand to hand and everyone would tear off a piece. So today, we're revisiting communion as a form of community building, as table fellowship, as feeding one another body and soul. There is no requirement to be part of this communion. All of our visitors today are certainly welcome. You do not need to have brought anything except yourself. It doesn't matter if you remember to bring bread or not. And you do not need to believe in any particular creed or dogma. We are Unitarian Universalists. All that is required to be part of this communion, to be part of this community, is to be like-hearted. As one of our spiritual ancestors in Eastern Europe, Francis David, said, we need not think alike to love alike. So all that is required is to affirm and promote the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism and to share our values of interdependence, equity, transformation, pluralism, generosity, justice, and love at the center. So I ask you now to please join me in blessing this bread with words by Rudolf Nemser. The words will be on the slides. The bread we share this day is sacred. Grain, gift of the earth, gives life. The friendship we share this day is sacred. All gatherings when people meet and touch celebrate life. The laughter we share this day is sacred. Joy and sorrow that rise from love are the springs of life. The stillness we share this day is sacred. In this peace is a haven for the spirit which nurtures life. For bread, for friends, for joy and sorrow, for the comfort of quietness, let us ever be grateful and caring. Amen. Now invite everyone to rub your hands together until they get a little warm. You feel them getting a little warm? Oh yeah, Riley's really charging up his hands over there. Okay. And let's just hold out our warm little palms now towards the bread for just a few seconds. And let that warmth radiate out towards the bread as we bless this bread that we are about to break together. Blessed be. And now, I would love if a few volunteers could come forward and help us carry this bread into the social hall. It is difficult to break bread and have table fellowship without tables. And so we have all the fixings for sandwiches set up in the other room. And so can I have a few volunteers to help us carry some of this bread over? Yes, we have a few. Thank you very much. Now let us go into the other room and have some table fellowship. And I invite all who are going to join us to please follow the bread out.
just kind of letting them lead. So yeah, I'm not here to, trust me, I'm not here to take over your.
This one they know pretty well.
I'm a guest in your house. So, they know. Yeah. And it's like I did a couple weeks ago.
Can you slow for you? Start playing it. Start up. That's where you want to go. Okay. Okay. You play 8 measures, we'll come in.
All right, friends, we'll be starting the annual meeting soon, so you might want to wander on back in. And also, we're going to sing out anyone who is not going to be attending the annual meeting, so we'd love some people to help sing out our children with the blessing song. Yeah. All right, Megan, can you start us on the blessing song? It's a blessing you were born, and it matters what you do. What you know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty you love be what you do, and you don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing I was born, and it matters what I do. What I know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty I love be what I do, and I don't have to do it alone. It's a blessing we were born, and it matters what we do. What we know about God is a piece of the truth. Let the beauty we love be what we do, and we don't have to do it alone. Cha-cha-cha. All right, we will be starting the annual meeting at noon, or whenever the board gets here. Oh, there's one board member here. What's that? Oh my God. Oh, okay. See her?
Linda and Dave.
All right.
Probably Zoom. Is there anybody that did not get
Use the
a
microphone.
chance to vote?
Use the microphone.
Is there anybody who did not get a chance to vote online or with a paper ballot that would care to do that? You want to see a ballot?
Okay. Sandra also needs a ballot.
Hand it to me, then I check your name off the list.
And there are pens in the.
Oh, there are always pens around. There's pens up here for that matter. Okay. Am I getting us started? All right, folks. What is an annual meeting? That's not a real question. I'm going to answer that. In simplest terms, the annual meeting is a meeting we have every year where the business of the church is conducted. We elect new officers to the board, approve the budget, hear reports from the different committees. It harkens back to our ancestry as Congregationalists and reflects our polity, where each congregation conducts its own business and makes its own decisions. It also reflects one of the ways in which we live out our fifth principle, the right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and in society at large. The annual meeting is a requirement of our bylaws because we believe that our members are the ones who are responsible for our congregations. Not just the board, not just the minister, the members. And so you are the ones who are responsible for the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship's continued existence through everything you do, whether that's putting a penny in the offering plate, to helping clean up after coffee hour, to telling your friends about this wonderful congregation, to voting at the annual meeting. And maybe this isn't as fun as some of the other things that we do, like game night or nature walks, but we wouldn't be able to do any of that fun stuff if we didn't also take care of business. That's life. Earlier, I talked about koinonia, a Greek word that the words community and communion come from. Koinonia refers to fellowship, partnership, joint participation, sharing. This is all part of sharing in the life of the congregation. So now that we've broken bread together, let's take care of business. We've left the chalice lit to remind us that this too is sacred work that we are doing as Unitarian Universalists, and we will extinguish it after the meeting and sing ourselves out. So let the annual meeting begin.
I'm gonna get. Good morning, good afternoon. I'm Susan Fetzer, President of the Board, and I would like to welcome you all to the meeting and call this meeting to order. I'm going to read the chalice lighting that I read each board meeting as we start our meeting. As we approach our agenda, let's remember that we're doing the work of this congregation. When we do the work of the congregation, we touch lives. When we touch lives, we change the world. May this chalice flame we have kindled remind us throughout our meeting of our ministry and our mission. Okay, and Madam Secretary, Joellen, do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum. We have 78.
Microphone.
Okay. We do have a quorum of our 78 members. 50 are voting, and that is far over the quorum of 37. So we are very good for that. We also have 4 friends voting, which we appreciate the effort that our friends give us also. We are always looking to get their opinions, even though we can't count their vote. We want their opinions. So 50 over, and instead, 37 was our cutoff for a quorum, so we're doing
And
well.
if there's anybody on Zoom, they can still vote.
Yes, anybody on Zoom, you can still go to, the original ballot was sent out on May 28th. If you find that email, there is a link in the email, and you can still vote, and I will be able to tabulate that almost immediately, so. Okay, anyway. And if there's anyone else in the room that hasn't voted, I have paper ballots. So okay, Tom, or Todd, I'll just be right there.
There was also a link in Friday's wave for the ballot. So there's 2 options if you're at home on Zoom and want to vote. Okay. The next thing on my agenda is the minutes of the 2022 meeting. Is there anyone here who wants to have those minutes read out loud, or who would like to have a copy of what we did a year ago? Okay. No. All right. But I think we do need to vote to approve those minutes. Joellen and I read them, and I didn't see anything. So. And we'll just do a voice vote because we don't have to have a huge quorum for that. All those in favor of approving the minutes as written? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved, Joellen. Okay, and now the next thing on our agenda is reports, and the first one is mine. So this is the president's report, and in preparing to write it, I looked back at the board minutes for the last year. I was a little surprised at how busy it's been, but I shouldn't have been surprised with all the dedicated, busy, and generous people we have here. In July, the board heard from a committee planning the dedication of the Sally B. White Building on August 24th, honoring Reverend Sally, who served this congregation for 18 years as its first full-time minister. Also at the August meeting, there were some building concerns. Doors left unlocked, the need to form a building and grounds task force, a common grounds task force, and discussions of a rental policy. In August, the Welcoming Congregation Recertification Team reported its progress and plans to fly the progress flag here at UCF. We adopted a natural disaster policy, recruited volunteers to help before and after storms. There was a big water bill. Fortunately, the city of Moorhead reduced that to $2,000 as we watered new plants around the building during a dry summer. Children's religious education was renamed Children's Spiritual Exploration. UCF's hardworking new building team officially retired in September, and we celebrated our new building with a public ribbon cutting ceremony planned by a dedicated committee. A leadership retreat for the board and leadership council identifies your leaders' values at UCF as inclusivity, community, reverence, justice, and wisdom. Goals for the interim ministry were discussed, and the board met with a UUA compensation consultant. October brought homecoming, and the board met with Christine Purcell of the Transitions Office of the UUA and representatives of the board and search committee of UU Fellowship of New Bern. While our UCF ministerial search ended up being for a full-time minister and New Bern is looking for a half-time minister, the board hopes to collaborate with New Bern in other ways. The Our Whole Lives training in February, which attracted attendees from all over, is an example of the beginning of more collaboration with New Bern. And it was in November that we approved the mask optional COVID policy as the number of cases declined in our area. A survey about ministry was conducted in December, resulting in the board decision to extend the interim ministry for a third year and to search for a full-time contract minister to begin in the fall of 2024. The Finance Committee calculated that a 30% increase in pledges would be needed to be able to fund a full-time minister and to pay our part-time staff at a level which approaches the midpoint of the UUA recommendations for a congregation our size and location. The board supported these goals, and thanks to all of you, that pledge drive was successful. We are working on policies for security and fire safety, and we've had 5 coffees with the board since January. A search committee survey was conducted, and a slate of members is presented on the ballot at this meeting for ratification and will be appointed by the board if ratified. Plans for the new board year include continuing progress towards safer congregation, continuing frequent coffees with the board and the search committee, working on a strategic plan including growth, revising the UCF mission and vision statements, and continuing to improve board resources and procedures. We'll have a leadership retreat, and we'll be leading in the continued work of the interim ministry and beginning the work to find a full-time minister with the search committee. Thank you. And the next report is the minister's report.
That's me.
Right. So my full report would be the interim appraisal that we completed in March. The full report is on the website if you want to read the full interim appraisal. I think it's interesting reading. I might be biased. Here are some highlights, which are, so the 5 tasks of interim ministry are history, identity, leadership, connection, and vision. And so I'm just going to really briefly lift up how I think we're doing in these areas. So history, this is a relatively young congregation. We still have one of our charter members. She's our current board president. So we mostly know our own history. A lot of people were here for a lot of it. And there are probably some more stories we could tell, but largely, like I said, this is a relatively young congregation. This is not like a 250-year-old congregation. So it's a little easier to sort of hang on to your history when there are people with us who remember all of it. Now, for identity, I think we're kind of still working on this one. I'm not sure this congregation knows how cool you are. Do you know how cool you are? You're so cool. So open-minded, so welcoming, so inclusive, so smart, so generous, and I don't know why we're so reluctant to tell everyone else about how cool we are. Leadership. Now, I know a lot of the congregation's current leaders are ready to pass the torch, so to speak. There are a lot of people in current leadership who are in leadership throughout the entire pandemic, helping to hold the congregation together. And so some new leadership has emerged, and we are eager to welcome new leaders. There are so many awesome leaders already here who have a lot to teach about leadership. Connection, also working on this one. Like Susan said, we co-hosted the Our Whole Lives training with the New Bern Fellowship. UUs from all over the state and as far away as Minnesota came to receive training on how to teach a comprehensive holistic sex ed curriculum to middle and high schoolers. A handful of us also went to a de-escalation training in Wilmington a few weeks ago and met activists and UUs from all over Eastern North Carolina. All of this reminds us that we're part of a larger movement. We're not just this little isolated island here in Eastern North Carolina. I mean, New Bern isn't that far away, really. And vision, which is about a new vision for the future. and that's also all coming together. We're developing a vision for a future that honors the past and also sees that things don't have to be the way that they always have been, right? We have a brand new building in a very visible location. We're mustering up a vision of being a beacon here in Carteret County and surrounding counties, a beacon of hope, welcome, inclusivity, and diversity. So I think we're pretty much on track for where we need to be. There's more work that's going to be done in these areas in the coming year as we go into search as well. And that is my report.
Thank you. Choir director?
Good morning. The music program here is is alive and well. First of all, our wonderful pianist, Megan, is the glue that holds this whole thing together. As most of you know, I resigned from being a paid staff member here to being a volunteer choir director during this year for reasons that will show up later on the ballot. Our choir meets once a week on Sunday mornings throughout the year, and we will continue to meet occasionally during the summer, and we'll fire up again in August. During this past year, two highlights. One is that Megan wrote a piece for choir. She came to me with this, about a year ago, and wrote a piece called We Need One Another. And we sang that as we opened our new home here, which I thought was fabulous. Secondly, we sang in the NAACP, and the NAACP Scholarship Gospel Fest was a remote event this year. We sang here, recorded it, sent it off to their producer, and it was part of the online concert this year. Next year, we hope that's live, hopefully back at St. Luke's down in downtown. Going forward, we are looking for choir members. If you sing anything, tenor preferably, we would be glad to have you come in on Sunday morning sometime and join us here. We have a small but dedicated group. And lastly, Karen Baggett and I will be going to the Association of Unitarian Universalist Music Ministries annual get-together in Baltimore in July. I attended this at the last meeting they had in Denver 3 or 4 years ago, whenever it was. It was a fabulous opportunity to learn myself and to bring things back to here that we were able to perform subsequent to that meeting. So we're looking forward to going to that, and thanks to the congregation for supporting that. Thank you.
Thank you. And each person who's presenting a report today should submit a written report to Joellen to go with the minutes for next year. And so now we'll start with the committee reports, and the first one I have on the list is social justice.
Hello, I'm Barb Thomas. I'm co-chair of the Social Justice Committee along with Harriet Altman. I also brought my trusted assistant, Marty Newcomb, today. Trusted. Okay. We're grateful to UCF members and friends for supporting the work of the Social Justice Committee in helping to fulfill the UCF vision statement, to be a visible presence in the community, and to demonstrate growing a just world through compassionate action. I'm going to give you a brief review of some of the things we've done this year, but our full report is on the website on the Social Justice page. There's a link there. Okay, the Racial Justice Committee, which is a subcommittee of social justice, has provided educational programs, discussions, and online webinars on the 8th principle, which is on your ballot this year. Another subcommittee, the Welcoming Congregation Renewal Committee, completed the requirements for renewal of our Welcoming Congregation status from the UUA in February. And this is our certificate, which Marty just had framed for us. So we got to find a good place for that. We've exceeded the requirements to make our congregation a truly welcoming to the LGBTQ+ community. Thank you, Marty. We feel flying the progress flag outside, which is also on your ballot, would increase our membership and could save lives, letting the community know where we stand. We continued our tradition of holiday giving, providing 90 gift bags to adults with homelessness, addiction, and mental illness, as well as adopting 13 families from Project Christmas Cheer. and holding a caroling party at our neighbor Empower, just down the street, a program for adults with intellectual disabilities. We held 3 Red Cross blood drives here at UCF, collecting 66 units of blood. We also began helping with serving lunch at Hope Mission on a regular basis. We provided volunteers for the voter registration drive at Carteret Community College, and we wrote 980 postcards to get out the vote to voters in North Carolina. We helped prepare lunch for 200 people at the MLK birthday celebration, regularly collected food in the social hall and delivered it to local food pantries, and we collected $7,000 at Fifth Sunday Collections for Carolina Abortion Fund, holiday projects, Family Promise, and Coastal Carolina River Watch this year. Those were our recipients this year. This year, we're going to be trying out a different way of collecting for local organizations. Instead of Fifth Sundays, starting in July, we will be instituting Share the Plate, a program that many other UU churches have used successfully. The Social Justice Committee will select a different organization for each month, and during that month, any money in the collection plate that's not designated for pledges will be equally divided between UCF and the selected organization. Anyone can submit suggestions to the Social Justice Committee for local organizations for future months by either contacting Harriet or myself. We continue to be amazed at the generosity of this congregation in funding this community outreach that we've done. That's my report. I'm also going to read the Green Sanctuary report. Okay. The Green Sanctuary is the environmental arm under the umbrella of the Social Action Committee. Lauren Donahue and Linda Rudd co-chair the Green Sanctuary Subcommittee. This past year, Green Sanctuary organized a number of service projects, UCF events, and nature hikes. Attendance at these events was good, and Lauren and Linda would like to thank everyone who participated. Highlights of their activities include a zero waste seminar by Linda in June 2022, 2 plant-based potlucks, aka Meatless Mondays, in November and March, the documentary film Title Alert shown in the social hall in January, the greening of the church in March. $1,053 were raised with the Fifth Sunday offering in April for Coastal Carolina River Watch. There also were quite a few nature walks with Tom Wentworth in 2022. Thank you, Tom. There he is. May 21st, Hoop Pole Trail. June 4th, Fort Macon Trail. September 17th, Fort Macon Trail. October 15th, Cedar Point Trail. November 19th, Core Sound Trail and Museum. And January 1st, 2023, the New Year's Day hike and ceremony at Fort Macon. Future plans of the Green Sanctuary include, jointly with Adult Spiritual Enrichment, they have scheduled a tour of the CCC Hospitality and Culinary Arts Center, boat building facility, and aquaculture and horticulture programs on June 29th, 2023 at 10 a.m. We plan to show films, The Smell of Money, The Letter, and The Plastic Age in order, one in September, one in October, and one in November 2023. Possible hikes to resume in September 2023 when the weather cools. And that's it. Thank you for asking. July 25th, we have a blood drive. I'll be sending out letters soon and announcements in the way. Thank you. Yep. We want to get 30 donations, and we can get $300 for the church if we do.
Okay. And our next report is from Facilities. Your Building and Grounds Facility, whatever. Well, I
Can I
thought,
just throw them together?
yes,
How that?
Building and Grounds.
Facilities and Buildings and Grounds. So, the Buildings and Grounds Committee, is Miriam here? Or did she slip out? She's washing dishes, our fearless leader. She, got us motivated and going. And one of the big ongoing thing is security, with our doors. I just want to, bring that in. Dan, who's probably trained half the congregation, and how to properly lock and unlock these doors, but if anyone still has some issues, he's open to individual, instructions. The buildings and grounds have, been trying to do other security things like, painting the yellow curbs. I guess some people tripped over them. What else? And of course, the lawn. Everybody if anyone loves pulling weeds, you people in North Carolina have the most obstinate weeds I've ever come across in my life. In Michigan, once you pull them out, they're gone. Not here. They come back and they bring friends. So, you don't have to make an appointment. It's one of those things that you're like, oh, I don't have anything to do today. I guess I'll go over to my lovely church and pull some weeds. Help yourself, If you would like to get in on the Buildings and Grounds Committee, I would recommend it. It's a fun group. We laugh, we quarrel, and, do a lot of interesting things. Right now we're dealing, a little bit more of security. And I think there's a shed project coming up. So, we need some volunteers, maybe some of the younger people. So, but that's about it. Hopefully it wasn't too bad, impromptu, but next year we'll have a little bit of better communication as to who's doing this report. Thank you.
And I just want to add a little to that, in that we are also putting together a spreadsheet that breaks down every little job that has to get done. So you could sign up to, wash the windows once a month or every 2 months or something. But at any rate, we're going to break down everything into little jobs that you can volunteer for, and a notice will come out reminding you about it. So look for that to come up soon. And volunteer for it.
One of those little jobs, we have 5 bathrooms. So if anyone would like to even be responsible for one, I can guarantee you would get that job. Don't even need to fill out a resume. Just contact me. Thank you.
You have a pictorial guide to separate weeds from other things.
Membership committee? I'm just amazed to be reminded of what it was like in the old church with barely 2 bathrooms after the service. There was always a line. Okay, all right, I'll do this, okay. What seems like a lifetime ago, we held constructive conversations with our congregation. And out of that, membership was told that what the congregation wanted us to do was create a vibrant, welcoming community, to promote diversity within the congregation, to promote multi-generational growth, and to maintain administrative records for both our church and submissions to the Unitarian Universalist Association. Before I begin, I am a co-chair of the membership committee. Mariana Newman, who's not here today, is a co-chair, and I need to give her credit for putting together most of this report. I just got to deliver it. The membership committee meets the second Thursday of every other month at 3 p.m. All are welcome to join. You don't have to come to every meeting, but if you want to come to one, please just show up. It's on the Breeze calendar. We embrace the history and identity of UCF by ensuring continuity within the committee, intentionally merging longtime members with newer members. We participate in monthly leadership council, using that forum to process and evaluate new ideas for outreach and inclusion within our community. We balance our quest for younger families with care and focus on the needs of older members and friends. We take seriously our position as an inclusive and welcoming place for newcomers in our geographic area, attending to the need to expand our spiritual growth as individuals and as a congregation, communicating to newcomers the many facets of our spiritual exploration and growth is always at the center
of our work and is centered around UUA principles. I'm just going to give you a brief listing of the things that we've done this year. We purchased a new beautiful membership book, which has been in service, which is wonderful. We've updated and ordered brochures. We've completed biographies of new members. They're displayed above the drinking fountain in the foyer. They also appear in Coastline and the Wave. We participate in a new member service 2 times a year, and we made all of our new members special lanyards that are given to them at this time of the service. We greet visitors. Those responsibilities are being updated all the time. We had a change today. We track membership trends, send personal notes to visitors, maintain spreadsheets of prospective members, and Barb deserves a special call out for Breeze, trying to get us all in the database and using it. UU1 sessions this year were changed a little bit. We held the 2 traditional ones, and a third that was apparently very popular in coordination with adult spiritual enrichment. Care circles have been changed. They are primarily with pastoral care at this point. We are finally doing coffee hours on a weekly basis, and they are being brought to you by committees rather than individual care circle groups. And I just put in a plug. If you ever want to find out who's on a committee or have fun with a committee, just offer to do coffee with them. It's a great entryway. And we are also doing pop-up picnics as long as the weather holds, trying to expand our geographic footprint. June 25th.
All right. Is there a report from adult spiritual enrichment? Okay. They'll submit a written report. The staffing committee report will be delivered by Tom Wentworth.
I'm filling in today for Linda Rudd, who's also my wife, and she sends her regards. She's been very busy helping our handicapped younger daughter get back into the workforce in Raleigh, so she's working very hard on that and misses you all. So the brief report, the staffing committee is established, the membership is established through our bylaws, and consists of members of the Board of Trustees. This year, it was chaired by Linda Rudd. The other members were David Hughes and myself, and in the ex officio capacity, Reverend Ma. Major staffing changes since July of 2022 included hiring Addie Hurston for the office assistant position, and then Kai Hostmark for the nursery assistant position. Sarah Sutherland resigned from the RE administrator position to pursue full-time employment, and we've just hired Rebecca Keeter, who will be doing a revised office assistant position, which will still include the newsletters, our weekly and monthly newsletters, the order service that you get each Sunday, but also helping as an in-person presence here at the building once a week, and incorporating a bookkeeping component to assist the incoming treasurer, which will be very welcome. The RE administrator position, which again was vacated by Sarah Sutherland, will be entitled the Family Ministry Assistant going forward. And the expectation for that position, which is not yet filled, is for that position to work closely with our new minister, the one that we're getting ready to hire, in developing the Children's Religious Exploration Program. So that'll be very exciting. And the staffing committee and Reverend Micah are taking this opportunity now to rethink that position and kind of envision how that will be. And respectfully submitted, Linda Rudd, Chair. Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, we have the Finance Committee report, which I think will also include a presentation of the... Oh, Committee on, why don't I have these on my list? Committee on Ministry and Worship. Okay, who wants to go first? All right.
Good afternoon. The function of the Committee on Ministry is to provide direction and quality to the ministry of our fellowship. A component of this is to ask UCF leaders to reflect on the work and the health of the church and its ministry. This year, we requested feedback on how committees have focused on the 5 tasks of interim work: multi-generational growth, alignment with our vision, mission and covenant, and a summary of major accomplishments. The following themes emerged. There's a priority on developing and enhancing connections among UCF members and friends and across our community. Multi-generational growth is an area to focus on. Committee work is tied to UCF's vision, mission, and covenant. The committee's major accomplishments demonstrated strengths in the diversity of worship services and the committee's activities to encourage participation among members, friends, and the community. Funding and maintaining our new facility without incurring commercial debt. Activities and initiatives that clearly demonstrate our principles to our larger community. Based on common threads from committee reports, we identified there is a need for a focused strategic growth plan at UCF. In addition, while developing a growth plan and in other ministry activities, we are reminded to utilize resources available to us from UUA. Finally, our Committee on Ministry is filled with hope and excitement for UCF's future and our continued commitment to spiritual enrichment, compassionate action, and free religious inquiry. Thank you.
All right. And I apologize for leaving off 2 committees. Did I leave off anybody else? All right, Worship Committee. That's what happens when you get an old agenda and try to update it.
I'm not offended. The Worship Committee, I'm chair of the Worship Committee, has provided worshipful services once again every Sunday. We've presented a variety of topics and formats that express our diversity, our mission, our vision, and our principles. We seek worship input from the congregation, and we encourage worship associates and UCF members to participate in planning and leading our worship. In addition to Reverend Micah's rich and enthusiastic worship services, we included lay-led, which includes our resource touchstone services, and guest ministers' messages, both in person and with Zoom worship. Our average attendance in 2021-22 was 43, and this year, thanks to our statistics that Barb keeps in brief, our participation in worship increased to an average of 50, but our range was anywhere from 32 to 69, and we think there are more out there. So since we opened our sanctuary for worship, we have more people coming, which is great. We have nurtured the spiritual and intellectual journeys of our members, friends, and visitors by providing an environment of acceptance, caring, and trust. We offer diverse opportunities for worship in participating and receiving worship. We show grace to each other and to all those who enter our church. Worship helps to build community and explores our shared humanity by working and celebrating and covenanting together with the power and commitment to transform ourselves and create possibilities for a better world. Providing leadership opportunities to explore our shared aspirations and work toward their fulfillment is evidenced by the development of the role of the worship leader, the worship associate, and the presentation of those classes that Reverend Micah shared called The Art of Worship for interested members who want to know how we put together worship. We've used technology to improve communication within the congregation and with the larger world. We added an entirely new AV system. Now with new audio equipment, we have enhanced hearing devices in the sanctuary. We have new speakers throughout this building. We have new lavalier mics. We added the pan-tilt zoom camera recently. And through that, we've reduced the number of volunteers it takes for our wonderful AV team to run the service. So we have both Zoom participants, which can be as few as 2 and as many as 15. And we just are very grateful that UCF has allowed us to put all this equipment into place. We also, so people who are traveling or are far away can enjoy our service. And then we also offer a recording of the service that's on our website. For those of you who don't know that, you can go listen to it later. So we cultivate our gifts and our talents through working with our pianist, Megan, our music director, and our choir director. I guess we don't have a music director anymore, our choir director. And we coordinate these features of the worship service together so that if we have a topic, it all goes together, if you've noticed that. We sing hymns that go with our topic. We added a time for all ages with activities and stories and created a multi-generational focus for our worship topics. We have valued and used feedback from our members that recommend a change or a change in order of the service or a change in what we do. And we've amended our order of service. We haven't been shy about changing what's in the service or the order in which it's delivered. We've been very change-focused. We're thankful that we added ritual to our service because that adds some repetitiveness and people enjoy that. The coffee hour has really enhanced the Sunday morning experience because now, once again, we get to socialize. So, I want to thank the perseverance and the resourcefulness of our minister, Reverend Micah, our other very creative and dedicated worship committee members, Mariana Newman and Tom Whitworth. And I want to thank the choir director and the pianist and the AV team once again. And now comes the part where I give you the plea. You may have noticed our numbers have dwindled over the past year for various reasons. And I don't know, I hope you're not intimidated by coming up and helping us out, but I'm making a plea especially for July. I need people to help me because most of the services will be coordinated by me. We will have some guest services, but I need people to help out and read some of the readings and the chalice lighting. So please see me if you're interested. We do meet once a month. We plan far, far into the future. We have a plan for the next year, a rough plan. If you know of a guest speaker that you think would be a good topic for us to hear, please let us know. We invite you to join us. We want to recruit more members, and we also need more AV team members. We want to nourish and support the spiritual needs of our community. I thank you very much for all of your help this past year.
Thank you. And now we'll hear from finance and also that'll go right into the budget for next year. And Joellen Essex, a member of the Finance Committee, is going to present that in David Hughes' absence.
Thank you. I'm Joellen Essex, Chair of the Finance Committee. On our committee is myself, Dave Hughes, Lauren Donahue, Mariana Newman, and now Joan, Burton. Anyway, and also we are also monthly joined by Reverend Ma. So we have a great, strong committee, but we are always looking for new faces that would like to join, so if you're so inclined. For the Finance Committee, 22-23 was a year of unknowns. We had little ideas of what our bills would be. We weren't sure how much to borrow to pay our builder, Smithson. Sometimes we felt like we were dodging bullets, but somehow it all worked out with just a few stumbles along the way. We still have a very impressive wish list to work on, but our congregation has managed to create a $1 million campus with no bank mortgage. We want to especially thank those numerous angels, as we call them, who have stepped up and continue to step up to make our property even more beautiful and meaningful as a beacon of hope to the community. That UCF is a welcoming place of worship. We did have to postpone our largest fundraiser, which is the goods and service auction, but we did get the call to volunteer for the Seafood Festival. Again, our volunteers gave literal sweat equity so that we could receive $1,800 for our day and a half. There was a big storm, so it wasn't a complete festival. An additional fundraiser has been by joining Harvest Host RV Association. So many of the RVs who have stayed in our parking lot have made donations to us. The Board and Finance Committee met with Ruth Lillian, our UUA compensation representative, to discuss the new salary guidelines for staff and ministers. This gave us some ideas of what we will need to offer a new minister salary as we begin our search. This was very helpful in creating our budget, as salaries are fully at least 70% of our annual budget. This also made us aware of the significant cost difference in hiring a settled minister versus a contract minister, and our congregation has now decided to opt for a contract minister. We continue to put together a rental application and contract for events such as weddings, celebrations, and meetings of groups that are affiliated with UCF, as well as those who would be new to our venue here. We hope to be publishing pictures and information to the public to raise awareness of rentals very soon. This could be a very important revenue stream in the future. December saw our return to the poinsettias decorating the church, and we collected for the newly created Ministers Discretionary Fund, which replaced the gift fund, allowing a greater amount for those in temporary financial binds, such as an electric bill or a night stay in a local hotel. We used to just budget a chunk of money. Now we ask for free will giving at Christmas, and it's much more effective. Let me see. In January, we employed a payroll service to take some of the load off the treasurer's job. Between this and using Breeze, and thank you, Barb, for helping us use Breeze, we can track donations. You can look up your pledge. You can see how much you've given and when. We are making, whoops, where's the other page? 1 second. Uh-oh. I know there's more. Okay, I'm gonna have to wing it. Is this over here? It might be. Hey, look at that. Okay. Yes, the payroll, okay. Makes the position easier for the treasurer, as well as easier for our members to access their giving history and staff to access their pay history. The annual pledge drive went very well. Many of our friends and members raised their pledges by 1/3. This was fantastic. We were able to meet the anticipated expenses and pay raises for the next fiscal year. We had our highest pledged amount ever of $138,000. That's really significant. We have been investigating the process of allowing alcohol at our location for those who would be renting our sanctuary and social hall for weddings. We have contacted our insurance company, contacting the ALE agent for Carteret County, and this will be an upcoming point of discussion with coffees at the board. And as Barb mentioned, we have discussed the share the plate philosophy with social justice for the next fiscal year. This will replace Fifth Sundays. And last but not least, we are very pleased to have Joan Burton join the Finance Committee as UCF's next treasurer. She will have the assistance of the whole committee, and we promise to behave just like we did under Dave's leadership. With much love, Joellen Essex. Thank you.
Does anyone need a copy of the budget to look at? It was sent out in your packet.
I have several copies here if you'd like to look at it.
Are there any questions about the budget? No questions? Are there any questions on Zoom, Dan, about the budget? No questions in the chat? Okay, while you're looking. All right.
I do have other copies, though, if you would like to look. At any rate, yeah, the major things that went up in our budget, of course, were salaries and utilities. We didn't know what utilities were going to be until they happened, so. But, so we did have a much higher budget than we had last year. Last year was actually our highest to date. That was $143,000 in expenses. This year, we're up to $159 in expenses. We're very glad that we had $138,000 in pledges, and then we feel that income from an auction and other fundraisers, possibly from, we get money from ChargePoint for our electric, and maybe some rollover from this year's budget will help us, help us actually make the budget work. So it's doable, we're hoping. But we're in very strong shape, and I'm very pleased that, you're so supportive. This is just the most generous congregation in the world, so thank you. Any questions on any line item or?
Are you planning to submit us for the Seafood Festival again this year?
For the what?
Seafood Festival? Repeat your question.
Oh, the seafood.
The question was, are there plans to participate in the Seafood Festival again this year?
Well, I mean, we always try for it, but it's a lottery. We never know if we'll get it or not. And last year, I think somebody backed out, so we got it. But, yeah, so who knows? Any other questions? And if anybody has questions or suggestions on fundraising ideas, we're up for it. So, we need more creative financing here. Thank you. Taking everybody's. Okay. Oops.
minister's report. All right. So that's the first item on your ballot was the yes or no on the budget if you haven't had a chance to vote. And then the next item on the ballot is nominations from the nominating committee. And the nominations from our nominating committee for treasurer are Joan Burton, co-secretaries Miriam Green and Susan Roberts. Those would be the board members, and then Barb Thomas to the nominating committee. Are there any questions about any of those nominees? And you all received candidate bios with the voting packet. If anybody needs to look at those, I have a copy of that. So see me before you cast your ballot if you want to look at those biographies. All right, and then the next item on the ballot is the bylaws change. Now, this is just, as I talked about last week, this is just a change to remove some complicated language in our bylaws about how to form a search committee, which describe more like the recommendations for a settled search to be able to follow UUA guidelines for search committees, whether that be for an interim, for a contract minister, for a certified religious education professional. This would give us a little bit more flexibility if this change is adopted. A bylaws change requires a quorum of 50% of members, so that's why we had to have 50% of our membership voting at the meeting, and then it must be a 70% affirmative vote to adopt the bylaws change. Are there any questions about the proposed bylaws change? All right. And then we'll move on to the next item, the 8th principle. And this is the principle that we, the Unitarian Coastal Fellowship, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse and multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Are there any questions about the 8th principle? Okay, good. I hope that means we've discussed it well in all of our information. And then the final item on the agenda, or no, the next item is this progress flag. And this is the Likert scale where you go from strongly disagree to strongly agree, supporting a nautical flagpole on the campus of UCF to fly the American and progress flags and rotate a third flag with flags that also represent our values. Does anyone have questions about that item? Okay. And then, yes.
Is there still a committee on that decision, or has anybody made a decision about safety? Working up a safety program?
The discussions with the Leadership Council and with the board have been that a safety and security policy would be implemented by the time the flagpole and the flag goes up. And so there has been considerable work on developing a security policy, with things such as locking doors during worship services. And one of the big issues is communication between the two buildings. If something happened in one building, how do we communicate that to the other building, whether it's a fire or an intruder or whatever that is. So we're working on those issues. But by the time the flagpole goes up and the flag would be flying, we hope to have all those issues resolved and a policy in place and procedures in place.
The board is the safety.
The board is the, yes, the board is the safety committee. Anything else? Okay. And then the last item on the agenda is ratification of the search committee. In May, we sent a survey to all members asking who they would recommend for the search committee. And these 5 people have agreed to serve on the search committee: Tom Cullison, Miriam Green, Penny Hooper, Amy Jones, and Sarah Wax. And we are asking for the congregation to approve ratification of this selection, and then we will appoint these people to a search committee to begin search for a contract minister to begin in hopefully by the fall of 2024. Any questions about selection or search or anything? All right. No, it's on the ballot. Thank you. So just vote yes or no if you agree to that, or disagree with that ratification of those 5. All right. So, Reverend Michael, would you help me put out the chalice? So we will extinguish the chalice.
Yeah.
And I'll read the chalice extinguishing words I read at board meetings. It is our work, shared with each other in covenant, that creates and sustains this beloved community. We extinguish this chalice, but its light lives on in the directions we have chosen today. The light of this faith lives on in us together, in our hearts, minds, bodies, and spirits. Amen, and blessed be. Thank you, everyone.
Wait.
Oh,
And also, oh, did you have another announcement, Joellen?
she's picking up ballots.
Oh, okay. Okay, because we're also going to sing ourselves out the way we would at the end of a service. So,
Guest song leader is.
ooh, how exciting.
Come on up. Straight from Chapel Hill. Oh. Stand if you're willing and able. We're going to do Blue Road Home 1064.
Standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean, still my quiet heart can say, I've been sailing all scene before me. Sing the sky my sailor song. I was born upon the heavens, never harbor nor port have I known. Wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my
All right, everybody, it's time to hold hands. Oh, I'm going to use the handheld so that I can come too. Wait, I'm here. Okay, all right. All right, everybody. Thank you for a very long morning and now afternoon at church. I'm so glad you're all here. Thank you for everything that you do to make this place a much needed reality. Go in peace. I'll see you all next week.